What would you sacrifice for the person you love most in this world? Not in theory. Not in a quiet moment of comfortable reflection. But in 5 minutes, with police sirens outside your window and blood on your brother's shirt and every second pulling you closer to a decision that cannot be undone. This is the story of two brothers. One who made a terrible mistake. And one who loved him so completely and so instantly that he walked out a back door and into a police line wearing his little brother's shirt without hesitating for a single breath. This is a story about the kind of love that does not calculate, does not negotiate, and does not ask for anything in return. It started with the sound of running. The older brother Marcus was in the living room when the back door flew open and his younger brother Daniel burst through it, breathing hard, eyes wide, moving with the particular desperation of someone who has been running for their life. Marcus was on his feet immediately. He crossed the room in seconds and grabbed his brother by the shoulders. What he saw stopped him cold. Daniel's shirt was stained with blood. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely stand still. His eyes were moving around the room without landing on anything. Marcus looked at his face and tried to get him to speak, but Daniel could not form words. His whole body was locked in shock, trembling from somewhere deep and uncontrollable. Then Marcus heard it. The sound of tires on the road outside. Multiple cars. He moved to the window and looked down. 3 police cruisers had pulled up in a tight formation outside their building, lights cutting through the afternoon in long spinning arcs. Then a voice came through a loudspeaker, flat, official, absolute. They had 5 minutes to surrender. Marcus turned away from the window and looked at his brother. Daniel was pressed against the wall, his face completely white, his lips moving without sound. Marcus did not ask what happened. He did not ask for an explanation or a justification or a version of events. He looked at his brother for one long moment and then he said it simply and directly. "Give me your shirt." Daniel stared at him. Marcus said it again, "Give me the shirt, I need to wash off the blood." Daniel began shaking his head, beginning to understand what his brother was moving toward, beginning to say something that Marcus did not wait to hear. He took the shirt. He put it on. And a few minutes later Daniel heard the back door close with a quiet, final sound that hit him somewhere in his chest like a physical blow. He ran to the window and looked down and saw Marcus, wearing his shirt, hands raised above his head, walking steadily and deliberately toward the line of police officers waiting below. Daniel's voice tore out of him before he could stop it. He screamed his brother's name through the glass, tears already running, hands pressed flat against the window. But Marcus did not look back. They took him away. The days that followed were the longest of Daniel's life. He sat in the courtroom on the morning of the trial in the front row with his hands pressed together between his knees, watching his older brother stand before a judge for a crime he had never committed and knew nothing about. The proceedings moved with the cold mechanical efficiency of a legal system that had evidence, had a suspect in custody, and had very little reason to look further. Daniel watched his brother's face throughout, calm, still, carrying the full weight of what he had chosen without flinching. When the judge began to deliver the sentence, Daniel felt something break open inside him that he could not contain. He was on his feet before he knew he had stood up. He pushed through the low barrier separating the gallery from the floor and ran toward the bench with tears streaming and his voice cracking completely apart. He screamed at the judge that it was him. That his brother was innocent. That he was right there, standing in the room, and he was the one they were looking for. He begged with everything he had. His voice echoed off the walls of the courtroom and every person in the room went completely still. Then the doors opened. Officers entered quickly, moving with purpose rather than alarm. They were carrying something, a laptop, footage pulled from a security camera near the scene. The real perpetrator had been identified and apprehended. The footage was clear and unambiguous. Marcus had been at home when it happened. Daniel's involvement was also far less than the original account had suggested. The case collapsed under the weight of its own new evidence and Marcus walked out of that courtroom a free man. Outside the courthouse, when the noise had settled and the officials had moved on and it was just the two of them standing on the pavement in the ordinary afternoon light, Daniel finally asked the question that had been living inside him since the moment he watched his brother walk toward those police cars with his hands in the air. "Why did you do that?" Marcus looked at him for a moment. The answer was not complicated. It did not come with qualifications or conditions or a list of everything it had cost him. He simply said, "I am your big brother. I would give my life for you." That was all. And it was everything. There is a kind of love that shows up in the comfortable moments, the birthdays, the celebrations, the easy Sunday afternoons. And then there is the kind of love that shows up in 5 minutes, with sirens outside and blood on a shirt and every exit closing fast. Most of us will never be tested the way Marcus was tested that afternoon. Most of us will never have to find out in real time whether the love we carry for someone is the kind that holds when it truly costs us something. But the question Marcus answered that day is one worth sitting with quietly. Who are the people in your life for whom you would walk out the back door? Who are the people who would do the same for you? Daniel made a mistake. He was young and frightened and he had done something he could not take back. But he had a brother who looked at all of that and chose him anyway, not after careful thought, not with conditions attached, but immediately and completely and without looking back through the window. That is what real love looks like when it is tested. Not the version we perform for other people. The version that shows up alone, in a borrowed shirt, with its hands in the air. Drop a heart if this story moved you. Share it with someone who needs to be reminded what it means to truly have someone in your corner. Subscribe for a brand new story every single week, and we will see you in the next one.